Hey everybody, welcome to the latest edition of JD Live. I am John, that is David, aka Shamrock Balls. This is the live show for the Let's Talk Movies podcast with John and David, which is us. And today we're having some fun here on the channel. We're going to be ranking 7 of the Nightmare on Elm Street films. We are not going to be including... Oh shit, my fault. We are not going to be including Freddy versus Jason or the 2010 A Nightmare on Elm Street because, well, we just figured we're not going to include those ones. They're not really a part of the regular franchise anyway, right, David?
Yeah, but we figured that we should just do the original series, and in my opinion, the original series ended with New Nightmare in 1994. So it's a 10-year run from 84 to 94, and that for me is the original franchise. Whenever you buy the box sets or anything, John, they only go up the New Nightmare anyway. There's nothing after that in there. So I'm quite happy. I think for me, them 7, they're the best ones. So I'm quite happy to just do it 1 to 7.
Yeah, so am I. And Freddy vs. Jason's a weird one. They include it in the Friday the 13th box set that came out. They put Freddy vs. Jason in there. And it's more like, is that a Jason film or a Freddy film? It's kind of a pretty clean mix, but I think when you're talking both franchises, you don't really include that film. It's just kind of like a fun little spin-off of them both.
Yeah, I've heard people actually describe that as an Elm Street, more of an Elm Street movie. But I like Freddy versus Jason. I think it's fun, like you say. It's more of a celebration, a tribute to these two horror icons more than anything. So if you take it in that spirit, it's enjoyable. People have explained it as like a wrestling match between Freddy and Jason. That's what it's like. It's what the whole build-up is of that movie, and until they finally meet. So yeah, I mean, it's not one I would visit that often, but when I go on an Elm Street marathon, it's just these first 7.
Yeah, 100%. And I definitely do not like 2010. Georgie has arrived. Well, what's up, buddy? And Georgie boy here.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm just checking my phone here, mate, so I can see some of the comments. I think Georgie boy, it might be George, is it? I think I'm not sure.
Rift Lord 46.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, that's George. So it is. All right, buddy, how you doing? I know you're an Elm Street fan, George, aren't you? I think you are.
Yeah, you gotta let us know. But yeah, 2010s. I actually saw that in theaters. My expectations were actually kind of high for it because Jackie Earl Haley, people were like, like, oh, this guy's gonna be a good Freddy, and they were leaning into the fact that he's a child predator, but it just was fucking terrible.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I think that Robert Englund, he was the one that basically brought Freddy to life. He really gave Freddy his character, the look. And when I talk about the look, first of all, yes, the look and his mannerisms and how he moves and how he stands and how he holds the glove. And I think it's going to be very hard for them to move away from that now. Whereas, like, when you look at the likes of Jason or Michael Myers, all you really need is a stuntman wearing a mask. There's not too much nuance to the way he kind of operate. Them two guys operate. So it's very hard for anybody else to step into Freddy's shoes, so to speak. So actually very disappointed by the 2010 remake. I didn't see the point in it.
No, it shouldn't have been done. And that was just the era of the time from like 2007, I want to say, to like 2010. We got a Freddy reboot, we got a Jason reboot, and we got a Halloween reboot, all in that same era. And a Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboot all around that time where they were trying to basically like do what Disney does now and return to the well. And, it was the law of diminishing returns. I really don't think really any of them were I mean, I like 2009's, I guess, Friday the 13th, it's okay, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is okay, but I was never the world's biggest Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan anyway.
Yeah. No, I'm not a big fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm not opposed to horror remakes. I'm really not. I mean, Psycho's my favorite horror movie of all time, excluding The Lord. But I'm not opposed to a remake. It just has to be done properly. And as we know, the Psycho remake wasn't done properly. I don't feel like the Nightmare on Elm Street remake was done properly. So that's the thing about it. So George said there, yes, like the first couple, didn't mind the reboot and enjoyed Freddy versus Jason. Shame they didn't do Freddy versus Jason versus Ice. if I can remember correctly, it might have been you, George, that recommended Freddy versus Jason to me, and I bought it. So
Hellraiser remake wasn't great either. I agree.
yeah,
Yeah, no, and everyone said like, oh, they got to get Michael in the mix or Ash from Ash versus the Evil Dead. That would have been cool. I mean, the Evil Dead movies are also very good. I like that had a good that actually does have a good remake, and honestly, it's been now we're about to finish the trilogy off because we're getting a third Evil Dead coming out pretty soon.
I think one of the original ideas was Freddy versus Jason versus Pinhead. I think that was another one of the something we're looking about bringing Pinhead in at one stage. But you know, the lineage of this all goes back to the Universal monsters because when they started running out of ideas, they started merging. You know, Dracula versus the Wolfman and things like that. You know, and I think was kind of the thinking behind once these franchises kind of ran out of juice. You know, it was a way of trying to keep them alive, having like a fantasy versus movies.
Yeah. I mean, it was unique. I didn't expect that movie to ever even like come into existence, but it's funny that it actually did come to be. And they never really did it again. It's like almost exactly like superheroes kind of crossing over with each other, like in the comics, but it was Freddy and Jason, these almost superheroes of the 80s.
Yeah, but took them a decade to get it off the ground.
Oh
By
yeah.
that stage, like Robert England was, you know, he was almost too old to be playing Freddy by then, to be honest with you, when you look at him.
Yeah, what was that? 2003 the movie came out. So that's
Hmm.
almost 20 years after the first one, and he was middle-aged then, so
Hmm.
it was definitely a little bit too late. And Eli's here. What's up, John David in chat? What's up, Eli?
Hi, Eli.
And he wrote, "Don't forget to slash that like button. Slash it like Freddie."
Slice it 100%.
Yeah. So yeah, and guys, we want to also hear from you guys in the chat. So let us know how you guys would rank these films. And David and I are just gonna we'll start our way at the bottom and then we'll work our way to the top, and we'll do what I like to call top 10 show rules, and we'll have the conversation about each film, the higher point on the list. So and how's that work for you, David?
We're punting them, sorry, did you say?
Yeah, so like if whatever one's my
Okay.
last one, just for hypothetical reasons, say my last one is Nightmare on Elm Street 1, and for you it's like somewhere near the top. We'll punt it and talk about it near the top.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
All right, sounds good.
100%. Sounds good to me, buddy.
All right, you want to start us off with your dead last number
Yeah.
7 position?
My last is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3.
I'm sorry, did you say A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3?
I'm only winding you up. My dead last is Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare.
All right, that's a punt.
That's a punt, right? Okay. Go
Yeah.
ahead then. What's your last dead?
My last one is Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, Dream Child.
This could break this channel. This could break our relationship, John.
It might end
That's
it all
not.
right here.
Yeah, that's it. What's it? The Last Talk Movies podcast is dead. You know. But that's a punt for me.
All right, so we're back to you again with your next one up.
Okay, number 6 for me is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master.
All right, that's actually my number 6.
Right. Okay, no problem. So we've both got that at 6.
Yeah, so I guess it's not considered our worst, but we both we don't put it very high, which I guess makes sense.
Yeah, we do. Well, I've written down here overrated trash. That's
It
what
is.
I've written for this one.
People love this one.
Yeah, there's a lot of people rate this one as like their favorite, and I've also seen people rate it as the best sequel. I don't get it. I mean, I'm a fan of this franchise, but I find it very hard to watch this one. Um, I just think it's terrible. I hate how they bring Freddy back. I hate how they kill off the Dream Warriors all at the start. And I hate that they made Freddy kind of like the star. He started with the punchlines, really. He always had a few wee lines in the second movie, and then it was kind of expanded in the third movie. But I feel like the third movie had a nice balance. By this, he's just really ways cracking. He's cracking punchlines. And I know the director said that he felt as if Freddy was like James Bond by this stage. You know, he was the star of the show, and that's why he made him like that. That's why you see him with like the sunglasses and it was like almost like Freddy for the MTV generation. But I just don't think it's a very good film.
No, the reason why I dislike it is very similar to yours. First, they can't recast Patricia Arquette, and she dies in the movie, her character, but she doesn't die until a little bit later. But they kill off some of your favorites right at the beginning, and that just comes. I get that that was the thing they did in horror movies at the time, especially in the 1980s. It's like, oh, they're continuing. It's like, but we have to get rid of the last group of characters. And like you said, this is the one where doesn't the dog piss on the thing in the graveyard to bring him back to life?
Yeah, I mean, like he's so at the end of the third movie, they bury him out in the it's like a car storage for old cars, right? Um, a car junkyard, car graveyard, and to bring him back to life, the dog digs him up and pees on him.
Yep. And that's it. After going through all that in the third film, we got to find a way to get him back, and it's like the laziest way to get him back.
It's absolutely awful. And then I feel as if I enjoy the kills in the movie. I think it's well shot, and I enjoy the kills. And I really enjoy the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack of Part Four. I really like a lot of the songs in it. But it just, yeah, it's just maybe it's because I feel as if it's such a drop off after Dream Warriors as well. Maybe that's what kind of taints it for me.
There's one thing in this movie that I always liked is there's a time loop sequence in there where they start off like coming out of the diner and they just basically get stuck in a little loop that Freddy puts them in because they're dreaming. And I love that aspect of it. But then it really dissolves from there. That's the only thing I ever really take away from it. The dream sequences at this point are being done very well. They're getting very creative. That's the one thing I could say about 4 and 5. I do like the set design because it's not CGI. I like that aspect of it, but yeah, there's a lot in there that I don't love. And hello, Snortopus or Snortopopopus. How would you pronounce that? Hopefully.
Snorta Poopus.
Okay. Cuber. How you doing,
Yeah.
buddy? Thank you for popping in here and joining the chat. And hopefully we don't shit all over your favorite Nightmare on Elm Street film
Yeah.
today.
Well, I have to say though, there is one kill in this movie that I find hilarious. That I have to give props to. Well, there's a couple of memorable kills. There's one where he kills the girl in the classroom when you want to suck face. You know what I mean?
That's pretty good where he like deflates her.
Yeah, and then of course the cockroach killing scene. It's a spectacle. But one of my favorites is when he kills Joey in the waterbed,
Mm.
and he bursts out of the waterbed and says to Joey, "How's this for a wet dream?" Because he's just a hornball. He sees a naked woman under the waterbed, and then it turns out it's Freddy. Because remember sees the naked woman in the third movie as well. The nurse, sorry, not the naked woman, the nurse who he's got a crush on. But yeah. So look, it's some good kills in it. As I say, I'm a fan of the whole franchise. I just don't rank this one as highly as some people.
Yeah, some people really do enjoy this one. I mean, it's got its moments, but that's why it's not last for me. But even so, even with my last place one, like I enjoy the franchise in general. Like, there's always something I could take away from these movies. They're usually short and sweet, and they get out of here. The image
Yes.
of Freddy with the sunglasses is kind of iconic, though, like on the beach and everything. I remember seeing that shot just in a ton of montages.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
got
you see him out in the bright sunlight, daylight, probably for the first time, really, something
yeah,
you've never really seen him in before, I don't think.
it's like you said, it's for the MTV generation
Yeah, it is, yeah.
because he was popping up on there, I'm sure.
Oh, well, there was a few songs came out, there was a few songs for this fourth entry. I know they had Dokken done the song for the third movie. It was very popular as well. Dream
Don't
Warriors.
wanna dream no more. It's a great song.
That's the one.
Yeah. The Fresh Prince, Will Smith did a song for Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm not sure which film that was tied into, but he did.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Well, there was one, they were called Fat Boys. They done a song for the fourth one, didn't they?
Yeah,
the fifth one?
I don't know which one Will Smith did it for, if it was just a random song, but he does one for him, which is pretty freaking cool.
Right, I didn't realize that.
I'll have to send you that.
Send me it, yeah. I didn't realize.
Yeah, a pretty good one. So what's your next one up?
Okay, so my number 5 is Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, The Dream Child.
Okay, so that's a punt for me earlier.
Yeah, so first of all, I'll say it's a maligned entry, John. I rate this one higher than 4. I, for some reason, really enjoy this one. It's nowhere near the quality, obviously, of my top 4, but I just enjoy the whole gothic aspect of it. I think that the kills are just as good as the kills in part 4 or 6, or or even yeah, or even like part 3. And I like the message it's telling as well, about the she's pregnant, and you know they want her to get rid of the child. She wants to keep the child. I like how she mends her relationship with her father. If you see in the fourth one, her dad's like an alcoholic, her mother's dead, her father's an alcoholic. He treats her terribly, but you see that he's stopped drinking in this one, and he's kind of supporting her. So I like that kind of arc that they do for him in this. He's a more likable guy, and this whole idea that Freddy's going to come back through her unborn child's dreams as well, I just find interesting. As far as a fifth entry goes in a horror series, I enjoy this more than most.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. For me, it's just the plot gets so convoluted. I've watched this movie like 10 times, and I'm just always like, first of all, I don't care if a fucking bunch of convicts raped a nun. Um, it's only one of them's gonna be the father. It's not gonna be the whole room of guys. It's not some miracle goddamn sperm that they all combine to make. But here's the song, by the way. Little Smith called "A Nightmare on My Street."
It's a nightmare in his house now.
Yeah, well, Will Smith's house, yeah, it sure is.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he made the wrong decision when it comes to marriage. What's up, Insomniac? That's my channel director right there. A good friend. He's a good guy.
Mhm.
So, well, how you doing, buddy? You got to listen to that song. It's pretty ridiculous in general. Not as ridiculous as Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, though, which, there are some good, like, I remember being creeped out by the when they do what's that, the ultrasound with the baby and you can see inside. I remember that scene kind of creeping me out in this movie.
Yeah.
Some of the kills, like I said, I really like the set design that they have. They get really creative
Yeah.
for the actual, like, dream sequences. The real world stuff is just what really drags this entire movie down for me. And it's just like, I don't really like it, even though they have that little scooter thing that freaking Sarah Connor's driving on in the other movie, in the Terminator. It's the same thing.
Yeah, well, that whole death on the bike, but I enjoy that death. I
Oh,
enjoy
that is good.
the
That is
the
good.
bike and the death where he feeds the girl. Bon appetit, bitch. That one as well. And what about Super Freddy? Ha ha ha! It's ridiculous, but I find this one just as ridiculous as part 4. But I enjoy this more, and that's why the thing is, that's why I don't understand how people can put 4 in such high regard, and say that put the fourth one in such high regard and say this one's bad. It's like, it's a bunch of a what's this here.
Yeah, that's why I have them both down near the bottom. The franchise was really dragging along here. Insomniac said, "What's the price to get David to start watching Seagal movies?"
That's pretty high.
It's pretty high.
high. So it is, yeah.
What
What doesn't he do a movie with, like, what is there, like a price in the movie or something? What's the one? There's bound to be one with a name. Am I thinking of Van Damme?
I don't know. Seagal's movies, like, I'm just Insomniac's got me on the watching those for his director reviews, and my god, they are the two we've watched so far, Attack Force and Kill Switch,
Yeah.
are just terrible, but they're impressive. You have to see them to believe them. I think you get a good laugh out of them.
Oh, yeah. There was a television station, Channel 5 here many years ago, that had like a Seagal versus Van Damme season, and every Sunday night they would show one of their movies. And I remember sitting watching them with my brother and being in stitches watching some of these movies. So it depends how many Seagal movies there is,
He did an absurd amount, and he's a producer on all of them too, which makes it even worse, I think. So I don't know if I can. I think you'd be in pain, but it's definitely been interesting. That's for sure. David should be the new Freddy with that impression. LOL. He's got the look already. He just needs to be burnt up just a little bit.
That's it. That's it.
You already got the hair and everything for
I
it.
actually got my head burnt last week out power hosing the back.
That's right, you did. There's at least 12 Seagal movies. Oh my god.
At least 12, yeah. Don't know. I'll have to think about that one.
It'll be tough for you. That would be a
I don't know if you could pay me enough money to watch Seagal,
everyone's got a price, like Ted DiBiase used to say. So what was that? That was your number 5. So
that was
my
number 5, yes.
So my number 5 is New Nightmare.
my God. Well, that's a good shock. I was expecting you to say Freddy's dead, but anyway, yes, that's my number four, John.
Okay, so I guess we can talk about that one right now
Yeah.
since that's what we're coming up on.
Yeah. You could start off because it's your five and it's my four. You can go first.
All right, so New Nightmare. This is basically the what I like to call the prologue to Scream. But this movie had to walk so Scream could run. But it just only takes place in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Where if it was, what if the people who made that movie were actually being haunted by Freddy Krueger in the real world? I always thought it was pretty interesting. The only thing that kind of hurts this movie is it's a little bit boring. That's kind of what kind of
Mm,
drags it down a little bit for me, but I still have it higher
mhm.
than obviously a couple other movies, 4 and 5. I like the like I like the idea of it. I also like that the fact that the guy works, the guy gets that death is crazy in his pickup truck where the blade comes through him. Don't expect him to die. The kid is good too. He's a kid from Kindergarten Cop. Um,
Mhm.
so he's pretty good. And Heather Langenkamp, not the greatest actress, but she's pretty good in this movie. And like seeing the Freddy like be serious again after all the movies of him being just so
Yes.
unserious, it's actually pretty good. He's actually pretty scary.
Yes. Well, what we have here, John, is a movie that is actually a Nightmare on Elm Street movie being directed by a really good director
Yeah.
after having numerous movies, in my opinion, directed by bad directors, right? And you can really see the quality here. I've written down here that again, like you said, this is a precursor to Scream. It's very meta. Believe that Wes Craven actually wanted to come back for part three and do it like this, do it like a meta, self-aware Freddy in the real world, but they just didn't get it. They were like, "What? What do you want to do?" This was like
Mm.
1987. They're like, "No." So when he eventually came back, this was his idea, and you're 100% right about the Scream thing because I feel as if this is a great double bill to watch this and then Scream, and I feel as if he brought Freddy back, even though the whole idea of Nightmare on Elm Street is very fantasy driven. It's horror fantasy. He did bring it back a wee bit more grounded. I feel as if he made him scary again. And you can really see his influences from, Nosferatu and stuff. And I like how he kind of like recreates the murder scenes from his original movie and puts them into this. So it's a very interesting film to watch. Very interesting film to watch. Maybe after the likes of Elm Street 1. Um, so for me, it's one of my favorites of the franchise, but it's dead in the middle for me. It's number four, and but it's definitely one that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I remember actually the first time I saw this movie, I was a little too young, I think, because I was going through the franchise and renting Freddy's Dead and then watching New Nightmare, and I was just like, I had so much fun with Freddy's Dead, and this movie's just like it's making me think a little bit, and I didn't really appreciate it enough. And then as I've gotten older, I appreciate it, but there's still stuff in there that I can't necessarily say that I 100% love, and
Yeah,
sometimes it can feel like a little bit of a slodge to get through. So that's why I have it so low. I'm not sure if there's a Seagal movie that where he dies at the beginning. That you'll have to ask Insomniac about, since he's our Seagal expert. I quite like Freddy's look in A New Nightmare. He looked more intimidating. That's where the Nosferatu thing comes in,
yeah.
right? Because I feel like that's kind of his look. He's quieter and he's got kind of like this vampire look.
He's got a more of a vampiric look. You're right. I'll be honest with you. I The look is what it is. It's not my favorite look. That was one thing I was going to say. I was going to criticize was the look. The fact that hasn't got the glove. It's like a claw. And as you say, he's got the trench coat. I remember, like for part three, there's a promotional poster. Apparently, it was released in the UK of Freddy in a trench coat and the fedora, right? And it's a class looking picture of him with the trench coat because I believe Wes Craven originally envisioned him in a trench coat. But so they bring the trench coat back for this. He's more buffed up in it. But the thing is that he's like Freddy in demon form. He's a demon taking the form of Freddy. It's not so much the Freddy we see in the movies where he's this man who was burned and the dream demons came and saved him and all that nonsense. So you can kind of forgive it for that. That's why he looks different.
Yeah, which is it's a cool look. I like that you get to see Robert England actually like when I was younger, it was just fun to actually see what Robert England looked like pre-internet. Like, you don't really see him too much, and it's like seeing him. Oh, that's what Robert Englund. That's Wes Craven. You think that's Wes Craven's house at the time, even though now you realize it's just a house that the studio probably owns or they rent out because it's definitely not his house. But I love that the script actually is kind of dictating how the movie's gonna go. So there's aspects of this movie I definitely really like, and it's definitely better than 4 and 5 for me.
Yeah. And I like how Robert Englund says about just because it's a romance movie doesn't mean you can't have a couple of decapitations or two.
I mean, exactly. Like that's one good thing about a love story, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that was
But
your five.
plus I think that's Heather Langenkamp's best performance in any Elm Street movie is New Nightmare, by the way.
It might be your best performance in any movie. Like I know that Heather Langenkamp, gets a lot of love in the horror community. She's a scream queen. Like a lot, like
Yeah.
people will put her up there with some of the greats. I don't think she gets anywhere
Yes.
near like Jamie Lee Curtis, like crossover wise. But Heather Langenkamp, she gets a lot of love. But I gotta be honest, I never really thought she's a great actress.
Yeah, though I mean, I really love her character. I love her character as much as Sidney Prescott. But acting ways, Neve Campbell is a far superior actress.
Mhm.
And to be honest, I don't particularly rate Jamie Lee Curtis that highly. I don't understand why people love her that much, but it is what it is.
She got some good roles. I mean, other than just in the horror movies, Trading Places, she's great. The movie that came out, Everything Everywhere All at Once, came out a couple years ago. She was great in that.
Mhm.
She's got some roles like True Lies, like I mean, and also she's very attractive, very
I was
attractive.
gonna say she's got some great lungs on her.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that her nude scene in Trading Places, I think that's the best set of tits I've ever seen in my life. If I'm being honest with you.
Well, if there's any reason to rewatch it, that's the reason, John. I don't think she's that attractive looking to be. I think she's very
From here up, not really, but neck down.
very mannish, very
From the neck up, yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
I think that her mother in her heyday was absolutely beautiful. I think Janet Leigh was stunning in her heyday.
You don't find her attractive in The Fog anymore, you son of a bitch?
Well, it was more like I actually found myself more attractive to her in Halloween H2O.
And she's opened up the exit door, yeah, I'm sure.
That was my favorite. Now, I'm talking about Janet Leigh here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
back in the
yeah,
Psycho days. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess Jamie Lee Curtis
In H2O.
I guess she can look a little bit like her father.
Mhm.
Not that body though. So we're up to what? My number 4 now because we just did your 4.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So my number 4 is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2.
Jesus Christ. Jesus. Well, that's oh, hold on a second. That's my number 3.
Okay, all right. I actually thought you might have this at 2. All right.
Yeah,
But,
I was about to punt it, and I realized no, I'm on number 3. So since you've got it at 4, John, go ahead.
you'll want to see her in Blue Steel. Oh, I've seen her in Blue Steel. I've seen her in Blue Steel, but still.
John's just like, oh, hold on here. I've seen her in that. Okay.
Don't you worry. She plays a cop too. So yeah, well, A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, we're actually gonna be doing this month here on the Let's Talk Movies podcast. That's our big show. So
Yeah.
and actually it's surprising to me how how high I had it when I was actually working out the list, because I always kind of put it down near the bottom, but I was like, no, that's better than these 3 films to me. So I can't put it that low. At least this movie, I'm looking forward to my rewatch and really studying it for a little bit more, because it does seem to have a lot more to say than most of the other Nightmare films in the entire franchise, except for like one. But it's got some great moments. Like I still think the pool party scene is one of the best scenes in the entire franchise.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, I have to say, help yourself, fucker. Yeah, you know what? Listen, I don't want to go too deep into it because we've got our big show coming up. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'll dive deeper into it then. But I'll just say that I think this may have been like one of the first Elm Street movies that I ever seen. I can't remember what the first one was. It definitely wasn't the original. It wasn't. I remember it wasn't part 4. I hadn't seen that one, so this may have been one of the first ones I seen. And then when eventually I bought a box set, a VHS box set of the trilogy, the first 3. So I had watched like the first, second, and third one loads of times, and I loved the second one. it wasn't until you get on the internet and then you see like the hate that gets, and I'm like, I don't understand why do people dislike this, and then you start looking a wee bit more into it, and you go, well, I see why, but I actually think it's a decent follow up. It almost feels as if at the time they didn't know what to do. They wanted to continue the franchise. Wes Craven bowed out and says, no, I don't want to make a sequel. And then they concocted this story. But I always enjoy part two. It's 80 minutes long. It's quite fast paced. It's got some really good kills. I think it's interesting. I think it's the scariest Freddy's ever been, as well. And for me, it's just one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And I think probably what hurt it for me initially was the fact that it's kind of in between 1 and 3.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of what drags it down a little bit. They clearly didn't necessarily have like an idea of like where they were going. It feels so different from part one. They're in the same house, but yet like, it doesn't feel like the same house. It almost feels like a different franchise at first, and doesn't feel like Freddy's like, he's in the movie, but it's weird how he kind of participates in the movie. But this is all stuff that we'll get into when we talk about it more, because I mean, my
yeah.
opinion could change a little bit on this one when we get into that actual review.
Yeah, we could really get into this when we're doing the main show, and we will. And I'm looking for, as I say, I'm looking forward to it. But I just think it's an underrated sequel. So I do. But I have noticed over the years and recent years, it's now become getting a lot more love than what it used to, because it was known as like the gay Elm Street because of the gay subtext and undertones of the movie. But now that's became kind of fashionable. So
Yeah, it's actually been like
so
claimed by the LGBTQ community as like one of their like films because of how like it's like almost like the lead character is gay, and he's got a thing
in
with,
real life,
yeah, he's
yeah.
real life. They made that Scream Queen documentary, and I think he's in it, like they
Oh,
kind of
he
talking
made
about.
it.
Oh yeah, he actually made it.
Yeah, I think he made it. Yes, Mark Patton. So, as I say, it's now almost fashionable. Whereas I think maybe a lot of people stayed away because of that. Whereas I was just totally oblivious to it. I was just like, nah, this is just a good scary movie, and that's all I kind of looked at it as. And now in recent years, when I've seen the controversies and I see the love it's getting, I feel like, well, it's okay to say you like this one now. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly, and so it got reclaimed.
Yeah,
So now we're up to my three, right?
we're up to your three. Yes,
And my number three is Freddy's Dead.
that's a punt. No, I'm only joking. It's not a punt. Yeah, that was my number 7, John.
Yeah, and I get it. I listen, I get it. It's a bad movie, but I
It is
gotta be
not.
honest, I do love this movie. Like, I really do. I enjoy the hell out of it. It's not well made, but I can't say that like, if I'm gonna watch them, I like every year I watch 3 Nightmare movies, no matter what. Around Halloween. I watch 1, 3, and Freddy's Dead because it's just a good time.
Well, I've written down here under my list, piece of shit. you know, so when I was a kid and like I loved being scared, that's why I gravitated after Jaws again. Scared terrified me. I gravitated towards movies like Gremlins and horror. I always was fascinated by vampires and at the minute it's in the people are talking a lot about this. I mentioned to you the other day in a message, Michael Jackson's Thriller, watching Michael Jackson's Thriller and seeing the zombies and the werecat and things like that. So I gravitated towards being scared. So naturally, when I was growing up in the 80s, Freddy Krueger was the main boogeyman. The kids used to talk about Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street. So I wasn't allowed to watch any of these movies, and I remember like being my cousins, um, um, renting them from the local video shop and going back and watching them in their house, and not telling my parents. And so Freddy's Dead was one of those ones. So this is around the late 80s, early 90s. Freddy's Dead was one of them ones that was released. It was the new one. So it was the fresh one. It was like, oh, there's a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie. We need to watch it. And I remember watching it and not seeing how goofy and how stupid it was, and how Freddy's just basically playing a Looney Tunes character. And many years later, when I watch it, I go, this is a terrible movie. How have we got here? However, because of that nostalgia, that always drags me back to it. It always pulls me back to it. And every time I'm on a Nightmare on Elm Street marathon, when I get to part 5, I'm like, I'm excited to watch 6 again. And I always think it's going to be something different, and by the end of it, I go, "Nah, it's bloody awful." but I do for some reason always gravitate to it, and there's part of me as well, John, that wanted to drop it below 6 on my list. I wanted to drop it down to 6, but for some reason I just couldn't. I just was like, it's just a bad movie. But I do gravitate towards it for some reason. There's something about it that makes me want to watch it again and again.
It's a comedy. It's not a horror movie. It's a comedy. I mean, the 3D in it's terrible. And I've watched interviews with the director, and she got kind of screwed over because like the 3D was forced on her, and she had to alternate the ending. But it's fucking stupid, but that's what makes it so good in a way. Like, this movie has Yaphet Kotto in it, which is insane.
Yeah.
But you got Tom Arnold and freaking Roseanne popping up in a scene. You got Johnny Depp back doing the freaking "this is your brain on drugs" thing and getting killed by Freddy and again. And the whole freaking thing with these kids, and they end up in this like haunted house, and he's over there playing Nintendo and got the power glove on. Now you're playing with power. The stoner kid, like all that stuff. I mean, it just brings a smile to my face. Like, I can't say I don't enjoy this movie every time I watch it. I put it down there like it's like almost like a B horror film. Like if you watch movies like Frankenhooker, I think you put Freddy's Dead kind of in that category where it's like there's nothing really good about it, but god damn it, it's entertaining.
Don't forget the power glove. Yeah, there's certain scenes that I really enjoy in the film. And I also kind of enjoy some of the characters. Yaphet Kotto for being one. I like how the storyline's kind of straightforward, but there's just that goofiness, as you say. England turns the character into like a Looney Tunes character intentionally. Like when the kid's falling from the sky, and he pushes like the bed of nails out for him to die, and he stops halfway, and he's rubbing his brow, and then things like he's playing the Wicked Witch from the West at the start, but I like all that. I like that whole opening dream sequence. I think that's good. But and also like the dream sequence with the blonde-haired girl. I can't think of her name at the minute because she's getting abused by her dad, and I think that's very disturbing how that's played. Her dad, he's give me, have you got some sugar for daddy? And all that's kind of creepy. So there's good moments in it. But then there's like really bad moments. Like there's a funny moment, about Carlos where he takes his hearing aid off and he's going to guess behind him and he's starting to scrape see where he scrapes that blackboard as well. He's like, it's like he's making a love date, and then the death what annoys me the most is the guy who is it the stoner guy where he's bouncing all through the house. Boing, the boing, the boing, the boing. I'm like, what is this franchise turned into?
Well, yeah, it's almost like a spoof of the franchise. And that's kind of like the things I do like about it. I mean, I also like the flashbacks to like him with his daughter, even though that's fucking dumb that they just shoehorn this whole father-daughter storyline into this. But I did think, like I said, with A New Nightmare, seeing Freddy without the makeup for the first time was pretty cool. I thought that was cool when I watched the movie because, like, these are things pre-internet that you couldn't get to see. So it was almost like, oh, this is a good next step in the franchise. The ending is dumb, the way they kill him, and you get all those like Freddy heads flying in 3D. It's stupid. But I don't know. I mean, like, I really do enjoy this movie. That's why I put it at 3.
Listen, that's fair enough. It's your list. It's personal to you, 100%. I have no bother with that. It's I'm just trying to explain myself why I have it last, and it's like, there's certain things like I think they made bad decisions, like setting it in the future, even though it's clearly 1989.
Oh, it looks like it too. I think the nostalgia of it kind of is cool.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I like the score and stuff too. But it's like even things like saying because there's no teenagers left and all this, and when they go to the fun fair and Roseanne's there, and it's the first time they've seen kids in years, and they're like, "Oh, come over here," but they're teenagers, they're not wee kids, so come over here, their cheeks and all, and then when they go to the school and there's this teacher there and he's like, Freddy 101, and all this. It's like, what the hell's going on here? It's like the whole movie's a dream rather than, that's supposed to be the real world. And I think they kind of they forgot that what's the real world and what's not. But yeah, but as I say, something keeps always dragging me to it. That's the whole, I like how, I do agree. I like how they go to the flashbacks to try to explain where Freddy came from and how he got off and how he became like, but he became. I like some of those scenes. And the whole end of the movie plays homage to the original, although people might say it's ripped off about pulling him out of the dream and then blowing him up with dynamite, like they blow the shark up out of Jaws. You know what I mean? So, okay.
It's the era. It's the era of
Yeah.
blowing up
Yeah.
villains.
Yeah. I believe those 3 dream things were supposed to go into another kid at the end, and they cut that out.
Well, yeah, well, they had to mess around with it because, like I said, the director talked about what really dragged it down was they really were pushing 3D at the time, and that was something she had to include in the movie. Which you do notice those sequences when it's not in 3D. That's one thing about any movie that's come into the new era that was shot for 3D at the time. It's very distracting.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But that is what it was. So now we're up to both of our top 2, which are clearly the same, unless one of us has the other one at number 1.
Right. Okay. So, do you want to do a poll? Do you?
You want to put a poll in here? We'll ask everyone what their favorites are.
Well, so we can only do 4. So, what was your fourth and third, John?
So my 4th and 3rd were Freddy's Dead and 2.
Right. So, and obviously, we know the part 3 and the original is either 2 or 1 for us. So we can go part 2, part 3, the original. So hold on, and we're not gonna do Freddy's Dead, are we, in the top 4?
No, I know that. I'm just gonna defend that till I die.
So your part 5 was New Nightmare, my part 4 was New Nightmare, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we should probably put that in there.
So we should do New Nightmare part 2, 1, and 3.
Yeah. I think that's more.
That's basically my top 4 anyway, but not but we don't know which order.
We don't know yet. We don't know yet.
So we'll put a wee poll up here, and the whoever's watching can let us know, what's their favorite.
Yeah, we
out of these 4.
Exactly. I gotta edit it because I did put a period in there for some reason, but hey, just wanna. So now I can start and show, and here you go.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully people can see. I don't know if you could see it on the live.
Yes, I can. I wonder. Right. I can vote on this then, can't I?
Yeah, you can include yourself in that if you'd like to. Except you know,
where does that come up? Does that come up on the chat?
Yeah, I guess it does. I don't know where. I guess
I don't see it. It should come up in the chat if you're doing a live, or sorry, if you're doing a poll in the live.
Stage placement. Yeah, it says bottom right. I guess it would. Oh, it's on our thing. I guess
it's on ours.
I guess that's where it is, right there. I guess
because usually when there's a poll, it pops up in the live chat. Now, unless it's on is it on your other channel or is it on our channel?
I don't know where it actually ends up because it's the first time I've ever done this.
I'm actually watching us through your channel. Let me watch it through our channel.
Right, it'd probably be a good idea. I don't know if you guys can see it, but if not, because it could be just something with this,
Yeah, it's not coming up on the chat bit.
Well, it might be something I have to just look more into because this is new to Stream Labs.
Yeah, that's all right. Sure, if it doesn't come up, it doesn't come up. That's
but you guys can tell us what your favorite is as well. Anyway, we would like to hear it. We want to know. Tony the Lone Riders. Hey, John, my ranking is 4, 2, 3, 1, 7, 5. Freddy versus Jason remake and 6. So you actually have 4 at number 1. And this is what we were talking about. How people put 4 at number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously George puts 1 at 1. But but Tony's kind of that what we were discussing earlier about how some people, and he put 2 at 2, which is this is what people do, and he put 6 at last, which is I'm just proving that I'm really the minority who really likes 6.
That's all right, Bit. I understand.
Oh, I'll take it to my grave. I'm not ashamed about it. So what's your number 2?
Okay, my number 2 is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors.
That is my number 2 as well.
Yeah, well, in my opinion, look, this is easily for me the best sequel, and it's also the true sequel.
It is.
It's the true sequel because it feels more like a follow-up than Part 2 does. So I always like to think of Part 2 as like a bridge, like a prologue between 1 and 2. Nancy took his powers away right at the end of the first movie, and Part 2 is all about him getting his powers back. That's why he has to possess his body. That's the way I think about it. And then he gets them back, and we go into part three. And as I say, part three for me is the true sequel to the original. Wes Craven comes back. They don't break the rules anymore like they do all the way part two. And we have Nancy Thompson coming back, even though it's a couple of years after the original. I think she's supposed to be playing an older woman. And I enjoy this movie. It becomes more of a fantasy movie as well. I think it's well directed. I think it's got some really great dream sequences. I enjoy the story just in general. And I also feel as if they had have ended the movies here, I would have been quite happy as this as a trilogy, part one, part two, part three. And I don't know if me thinking that is because of the influence I had of having the trilogy on VHS, because I like how they kill Freddy in this. I think as far as supernatural horror fantasy movies go, this is the most plausible way of dealing with Freddy. Freddy's dead. I mean, not the movie, but Freddy's dead. You know, he's not alive. You know, he's a demon. He's a ghost. He's invading these people's dreams and he's murdering them in their dreams. So I like how they explain. They give more of a backstory with bringing his mother into it, which I enjoy, and she explains how to kind of like, you know, get rid of Freddy once and for all. And I like how they carry it out. I love that whole scene where they have to go and dig up his bones or find his bones and bury it in hollow ground and with the holy water and all that. I think it's brilliant. And even though the stop motion at the end is a wee bit dodgy, I love that. I love that Freddy skeleton fighting the doctor. It's a real throwback or homage to Ray Harryhausen and Jason and the Argonauts. So yeah, I love that. I love the third movie. It's one of my favorites, and I love the song as well at the end. Dream Warriors.
Oh my god, the Dawkins song is great. It feels like feels like the true bridge gap between the original three, like in the original movies, until we get to like what they do after this. Like this is like the real in between. Freddy's still kind of scary, but this is where he's starting to bang out the one-liners and the kills are getting crazy. You know, this is like for me, it's one scene is the turning point for the whole franchise. Welcome to prime time, bitch. Slams her head into the screen. Like that's it. Like that's joining the MTV generation. 4, they fully commit. But here it's kind of like they're still trying to tell a compelling story. Wes Craven's back, and obviously not the directing chair, but the director himself went on to direct a pretty good little movie called The Mask. So, you know, at least we get
Yep.
that
Chuck
kind of
Russell.
yeah, Chuck Russell. So we get that kind of like, and you honestly you could kind of see it because the way the set designs are, and it's creative, and you know, bringing Nancy back is great. But yeah, I always found it weird that it's like she did age like so much in like a short amount of time. Like she was in high school in the last one. It's like it's only been 3 years, and you know now you're a doctor essentially. And the relationship with the guy from well, I only saw that guy in one other movie. He's not really a good actor. The other doctor who like believes her and everything the whole time and actually wants to help these kids. This storyline with the kids in the hospital is reused again in Freddy versus Jason, by the way.
Yeah.
They
That's right.
basically just ran back the entire thing, but not to, you know, the degree of this, where the characters are actually all memorable. And they all have their own superpowers. It's so
Yeah.
cool. Like I love that aspect, and you know, the kid with the veins, and even the sound effect. While like they got his, it's fucking scary and gross too.
Yeah. And as you say, there are um I feel as if they got the right balance in this. You know, it may not be my favorite version of Freddy,
Oh
but
wow.
I feel as if it's my favorite. Um, sorry, it's got the right balance. He's scary and he's cracking the one-liners. He's funny, but he's not too funny where he's goofy. It's people will say the fourth one's when he really started cracking the one-liners. It's not. It's this one here. But as I say, the balance was you can live with the balance. You
Hmm.
can get away with it. Okay. And that's what I really like about it. And as you say about Chuck Russell, I believe that Frank Darabont also worked on the screenplay.
Yep, and Frank Darabont became a great director in of himself, and Chuck Russell, I
Hmm.
guess, also directed Eraser, my second favorite horror film behind Commando, which, you know, I don't put Eraser that high, but it's got a new 4K coming out.
Hmm.
So yeah, Chuck Russell's a great director, and I think that like you know there was competent people working on this movie, and I think even like you know you even get a young Lawrence Fishburne in this movie, which is great too. Is
Laurie.
He's still Larry here. Still would be my number 2 as well. You see, a lot of people put 3 high, and I always feel like that's always the regular like feeling about 3. People really do like 3. Like it was like a correction of 2, and
Yes.
you know, it kind of like actually like increased the like you said, it's like a true sequel. Like, you know, it takes
It is.
place in this mental institution, I guess, and with the kids. You know, you get more than just like one character. They're all got to like team up, but you also get callbacks to the first one. I mean, literally, Nancy's dad's back, and you know, we see what his life has become and
He's
how he's
became a security guard.
yeah, I know. It all fell apart for him.
He's became an alcoholic, like Marge in the first movie. Marge
Yeah.
was the alcoholic, and you can see that he doesn't really have a good relationship with his daughter, and he's working as a security guard, and yeah, that whole kind of at the end where like he kills um her dad, and then comes back as him to kill Nancy. Nancy dies as well. You know what I mean? The hero dies, and or the heroine, should I say? But it's what else was I going to say about it there, mate, as well? There was something else I was going to say. Oh, it's been down in my head. I might come back in a minute.
All right. Yeah. Well, you know, again, also having the doc and score, I mean, the doc and song tie into it. It's a good sell. Patricia Arquette is great. I love the opening sequence. Honestly, like the
Oh yeah,
first
yeah.
dream sequence. It's a great way to open the movie. You know, also her mother's a piece of shit, just like Nancy's mother. So they have a lot to relate to. Like they're trying to have
Yes.
their own Nancy. Also, it's the late 80s and it just feels like the late 80s. I always just love the clothes, like just the decor everyone's wearing, the bathroom like painted black. I'm like, it was a time. And, it's all very refreshing compared to like the world we live in now.
That's what I was going to say as well. Like you're talking about being a true sequel. They bring the score back too.
Mm-hmm.
They bring the same the theme back from the original movie, which also helps it kind of tie into the first movie. And I also feel as well as just wanted to point out what you said earlier, even though the movie came out in 87, I feel as if it's maybe set in the future, not too far in the future, but it's set in the future that, maybe 4, 5, 6 years later. So Nancy is able to go off and get her degree and become like whatever, I think she's like a psychologist, didn't she? Or something like that. I can't remember what she is in the movie. But yeah, I also like as well, you're saying there about it being in the mental ward as well, about the institute, I also like to think of my own mind. They talk about one of the kids committing suicide. I always like to think that that was Jesse from the second movie.
Oh, that's possible. I mean, that guy, he went through it, that's for sure. And then we saw
Mhm.
how that movie ended.
And I also like said I just make a point of Kincaid, motherfucker.
I love Kincaid. That was always one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, what's the one girl turn into? Like when she's the rocker with the mohawk and everything, she's got the knives. I can't.
She's like, "When in my dreams, I'm beautiful and bad."
Oh, that's
She's got the flick knives. It's cheesy, but I like when Kincaid says, he's really strong. He's wearing like these braces and like this. He's like a Mr. T type guy, and he's like, "Freddy, where are you bird pussy?"
He ain't afraid of Freddy, but Freddy would he'd get his revenge on him.
Well, I like when the guy in the wheelchair is like, in my dreams, I can walk, and Freddy appears and says, "It's back in the chair for you." But he's like, "I am the wizard master." But Freddy just grabs him by the throat and says, "Sorry, kid, I don't believe in fairy tales." So there's some great scenes in this movie, and I can understand why people rate it as like their favorite, right? And I can also understand why there's a lot of people say it's the best sequel. For me, it is.
Yeah, for me, it's absolutely the best sequel. I just realized so many of the parents were alcoholics. Well, they're drinking away their sorrows of the fact that they killed this guy, and
Yep.
now he's out here killing their kids. So they're just drinking all the pain away. And most of the women they're whores. They're basically all these parents are single and they're just banging all these random dudes who also are just piece of shit. Like we saw from the first movie, it wasn't just Nancy's mom; it was also Tina's mom too. Was a real fucking asshole.
Yeah, that's right. And like she went away to Vegas, didn't she? And they left their daughter. But yeah, to that point as well, as you say, it shows that they're being negligent towards their children too. And do you think they were swingers? Do you think they were all swinging together?
I mean, it's just past the 70s, which I don't know if you ever heard of these things, but I watched the movie what was it fucking called? The Ice Storm. And in the 70s, they used to have these things called key parties where you put your keys in a bowl.
Oh,
And you
yeah.
have heard of these. So for anyone who hasn't, so they put all their keys in the bowl, and then they have the women pick the keys out of it. I guess you could do it both ways, have the men or the women pick it, but in the movie it was the women, and you pick the keys, and whoever's keys they are, that's the man you got to go sleep with at this party. even though they all know each other. And I guess this was just a normal thing in the 1970s. And like, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Uh-huh.
well, the movie they're playing it like it's a normal thing, and it's just like and it must have been. I mean, the swinging 70s and 60s, like that, sex was a little bit freer back then,
I,
and then
John, I would say it probably goes on more than you know.
probably I'm dying here with Dave's Kincaid impression. Dave does good impressions.
I actually didn't realize that until I started actually doing the podcast. That's why I do them more often now. At the first, I was afraid to, but then I realized,
you gotta lean into it.
I got to. Yeah, John encourages me. It's always good to have a good partner, a good support there.
That's why I'm always like in between. Like, do I put the clip in or I just let David cook here? I don't.
And if it's bad, you can take me out and put the clip in.
Exactly. Or just sometimes I'm like, is the original better? I don't know. I'd rather see a movie where David is cut in here instead. But
I could do a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I could just play all the characters.
Yeah, I'd watch it. I'd pay. It's gonna be better than 5. I know that. Do some key parties in in Bangor, Dave.
Bangor.
Bangor.
It's a town here. Yeah, I didn't realize that, George. The only problem is I don't have a partner, so
who you bring it with you?
There's nobody I can bring with me.
You'd have to bring a lady of the night and be like, "Listen, I brought you guys. Listen, she's used to swinging, so."
But no, my luck, she'd take my keys out. Like, oh, for God's sake!
Damn it!
I only brought you with me just so I could get in here.
Now do some Leprechaun impressions. I don't know. When was the last time you saw Leprechaun?
Yeah. Well, I've never seen Leprechaun, but yeah.
Well, it's a shame. I'm not a big fan of that series, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I can't do him. What's his name? The little guy? I don't remember his name.
It's he was in Star Wars.
Yeah, he was, right?
What's his name again? Oh, it's eluded me at the minute. He presents a TV program here as well, so he does. But nope, no impressions. That's actually that's racist.
It is for you, essentially.
It is.
And the amount of times I've been called a leprechaun, so
yep.
It's okay though. Like I've always said, I'm a leprechaun without a pot of gold.
You still searching for it, John?
It's fucking gone.
You can never find the end of the rainbow. You see, that's the problem.
That's the problem. But if I found the other, it would be like just another debt collector. It'd be a thing full of like notices to pay back money.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, IOU, like the end of Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, those are IOUs. They're just as good as money. And you'll see every cent's accounted for. Like that makes it okay.
It makes sense in his head anyway.
Well, they're dumb. That's the whole thing. Warwick Davis, the actor, but I don't think he has a name in the films. He's probably just labeled the leprechaun in the films, right?
That's right. Warwick Davis. That's right. I couldn't think of his name there.
I thought it started with a P, but I was thinking of Pleasance, and I'm like, I know that's wrong. Yeah. Warwick Davis.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sidney McGrail. I appreciate that. So obviously, for anyone who's been watching, you know that now our number one is the original, A Nightmare on Elm Street, directed by Wes Craven from 1984, which makes sense. It was the one that started this whole franchise. It's still the best. It's one that you can always rewatch. It's the best made film. Freddy's scary. The sets are great. The effects are great for the time and the money that they had. And, you get actors like Johnny Depp before they even were famous. It's got a great score. It's like, it's hard to say more about Nightmare on Elm Street than has it already been said.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy number one for me. This movie for me is one of the best horror movies ever made. It's not just the best of this franchise. It launched the franchise. It reinvented the horror movie when it desperately needed it. When they were running out of ideas for slasher movies. It basically as well. It's a slasher, but it made it a wee bit more interesting as well with the whole dream aspect. The killer as well had a personality for a change. He wasn't just this quiet, silent guy moving through houses, just killing everything he's seen. Yeah, as you say, and I think it's wonderfully directed. I love as well that I don't think enough people actually point out the fact that the ending is left ambiguous. That is she dreaming? Is she not? Make your own mind up. Yeah, I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's one of my favorites. Like not including this. I have to just keep pointing out because people will bunch Jaws in with horror movies. I don't. Not including Jaws. A Nightmare on Elm Street's my second favorite horror movie of all time after Psycho.
Yeah,
Easily.
it's in my top 5. It's in my top 5 100%. This is the first it's not the first horror movie I saw, but it's definitely the movie that made me pay attention to horror. I remember like literally me and my cousins renting the VHS and watching it, and then that's literally what sent us down the rabbit hole of watching the rest of them, was the fact that we liked the original one so much, because the original one scared us and we had a great time watching it. I'll never forget the first time watching this movie. So it's always been one of those movies that, even if movies have passed it as my favorite horror film, it's still one that I absolutely just love. It's like up there with like Poltergeist, The Ring, and Candyman is my like favorite horror film.
And I also like as well, John, how I know this like was Wes Craven had a vision, right? And then he wanted an older man to play Freddy Krueger because Freddy Krueger was supposed to be an older man. But then when he seen Robert Englund, he went, no, this makes sense because the guy's going to be in makeup anyway. That was his mask. His mask was the burn. And when they get the look down, which was basically designed by Wes Craven, um, he had an idea of how he wanted to shoot the movie. And Robert Englund brought his own unique persona to Freddy. But I like how he's not front and center. Front and center's Nancy. They also do a Psycho thing here where you start with Tina and you think it's going to be about her, and she gets killed, but it's not. It's about Nancy, and you follow her for the rest of the movie. So she's basically it's her movie, and it's all about how she's going to try and outsmart Freddy and stay alive. And I love that whole aspect of it. I love the dreamy quality of it. You
It
know,
does have a dream quality too, especially towards once you get
I
towards the end. It's like it starts to confuse you, like what's a dream and what's not. Like he literally falls through the bed at the very end, and it's like, what is that?
yeah, and I think that Freddy is scary in this one. There's only two
Mhm.
movies, possibly three, that he's genuinely scary in, and this is one of them without a doubt. It's up there with part two in regards to his performance as Freddy, in a more kind of slanting towards the more scary than say a flamboyant wisecracking, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, it's iconic. It really is an iconic horror movie.
It is, and for a director like Wes Craven, who had a hit film in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, the guy was just one of our great horror directors.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
but
I know. And one thing about Wes Craven, sorry, John, he made a name for himself in the 70s. Last House on the Left, The Hills Have Eyes,
Mhm.
and then he reinvented horror with A Nightmare on Elm Street in the 80s, right? And then he reinvented horror again in the 90s with Scream. There's
Mhm.
not many directors can say that they, you know, resurrected or helped to push a genre forward. Uh, there's not many directors can say that, you know, and he done it in the horror genre, but he deserves a lot of credit for that.
I agree. I mean, and also don't forget about Shocker in the 80s. I know many people might not put that movie very high, but I love Shocker.
I haven't seen Shocker, unfortunately.
Oh, you got to watch Shocker. I think you'd like it.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's over the top in a lot of ways, but I love it. I've always really enjoyed that movie. That's a fun 80s horror film.
yeah, yeah.
I think
I watched I watched The People Under the Stairs one night. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous.
he made a lot of The Serpent and the Rainbows very ridiculous, which a lot of people put that pretty high. There's the thing with him is like there's some quality dips and for sure, and then like once he gets like eventually he's just making Scream films, but he did make Red Eye. I don't know if you ever saw Red Eye. Red Eye is really good
No,
in 2005, I believe that was with Rachel McAdams and I'm drawing a blank on the freaking guy's name, and I don't know how I'm doing that. The guy from Ireland who freaking is in 28 Days Later and Oppenheimer.
oh, Killian Murphy.
Killian Murphy, yeah, and
Mm.
because he's just got that creepy ass face. So
He does. He does.
it's just so he works very well as a horror villain. But yeah, I don't know how I
Nice.
forgot Killian Murphy. But yeah, I love him. There he is,
Yeah.
Sidney
Good,
Rubin.
good Irishman.
Yeah, exactly, and always obviously got his Academy Award finally for Oppenheimer, which he
Yep.
was phenomenal in it. So yeah, so he had a hit then, and of course, his last film was Scream 4, and he
Well,
passed away.
yeah, but where's reluctant? Well, didn't want to do Scream, but eventually when he took the project on,
Oh,
he get into it, and it was such a big hit. I'm a big fan of the original Scream, and the movies he made, I don't mind. I can watch them. Um, but he was only a good thing, so why not? He was in his twilight years. He was well an older man, and he tried different genres. It didn't work out for him. He was known as the horror master, and he was making good money, and they were popular, and he was giving the audience what they wanted. So I don't begrudge Wes making more Scream movies. I'm only sad that he died and that he couldn't have made a few more, because I think if he could have, they would have been better than the ones that we got.
Yeah, you haven't seen 7 yet, so you don't even know how bad they can get.
Hell, 5 and 6 was bad enough.
Yeah, 7 is nothing compared to like 5 and 6. 7 that I actually can watch 5 and 6. I don't know if I'll watch 7 again. I might watch 7 just to talk about it again.
Well, I may watch 7 just to torment myself.
You have to put yourself through it once. Robert is the horror version of Pinocchio as Jimmy Cricket. Looks very, very much like Freddy. That's what George says.
Yeah, Robert England's yeah, he seems like a good guy. So he
So
does.
he does seem like a good guy. And actually, I have a
Yeah.
question for you because I remember I got a question on a live stream like a couple of years ago, and I've always thought about this: like, who was the better director,
Mm.
like horror director, John Carpenter or Wes Craven? And I said Wes Craven, but then I go through it in my head, and I'm like, was I wrong about that? Because the thing I think that gave Wes Craven the edge was the amount of years he did. Was going from the early 70s until his death, so he was making movies, like, whereas Carpenter, he kind of had that great run in the 80s, and then his 90s were okay, his 70s were okay, and then like the 2000s he was pretty much done.
Okay, so the question is horror director.
Yeah, horror director, like, because I mean,
So John Carpenter done a lot of made a lot of successful movies in the 80s, right?
mhm.
But how many were actually horror?
So you got, I mean, if you go like just his horror movies, I guess you got the Halloween. He made the first
Well, he did
Halloween
he
movie.
did the first Halloween. Yeah, yeah,
He
that's
made
right.
Fog.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the Thing, and then is They Live a horror film? I would say that's more of like a sci-fi kind of
Stick it-
horror, though.
Yeah, it's like an alien movie, sci-fi. Yeah, yeah,
Wes wasn't that good, Tony says. I gotta disagree, Tony. I gotta
yeah.
disagree. I think he had too many good films in there. I mean, and like he does have some misses. That's the thing with Wes. I can't say that he didn't like strike out, but so did John Carpenter. I mean, his last movie, what was that? The Ward is fucking terrible.
A lot of people didn't like Vampire. You done Vampires? That wasn't great.
It's all right.
Yeah, and I watched that James Woods, and look, you know what? I don't know. It's part of me's kind of thinking that it's a bit of a silly debate to get into, because I love what John Carpenter done in the 80s. I love Halloween. Well, I really like Halloween, and I love what he done in the 80s. I love a lot of those movies. Um, I don't love a lot of what Wes Craven done, but I think the movies that Wes Craven made in the horror genre are a lot more better quality than the Carpenter movies. But people would disagree with me because people are very big John Carpenter fans. I look at
I love John Carpenter, like his non-horror films. Although it's like I also don't like one of his like most popular films, which a lot of people like, which is Big Trouble in Little China.
But that's what I mean. I mean, I like Halloween. I like Halloween 2. I like The Fog. I like The Thing. Um, I don't mind Christine, but it's ridiculous premise.
I love Christine. I
But
really do.
yeah, but I'm coming from a position here that I would rate Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street higher than any of the movies I just named. But
Well,
I know
yes.
there's a lot of horror fans wouldn't, or sorry, a lot of Carpenter fans wouldn't.
Oh, really? See, now I would put Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream very high above
Yes.
pretty much all of Carpenter's films, except for like maybe The Thing starts to flirt with it. And I really, I mean, there's a lot of movies like I love They Live.
So do I.
So like there's movies. In the Mouth of Madness is great. I like
Prince of Darkness.
Prince of Darkness is all right. That's one that's got
Haven't
its
seen it once.
moments.
Yeah.
That's got its moments. Like I said, I'm not a really big Trouble in Little China fan.
Yeah.
I like Assault on Precinct 13. I think I
Yeah,
like that
it's
a
all right.
little bit more than other people. The Last
Okay.
Starfighter, I don't know if I said that, was really good.
Oh, yeah, not the Last Starfighter.
No, what is that? What was this
It's
one?
the Last Starfighter is different. That was directed by Nick Castle.
Oh
He
yeah,
played
that's
Michael Myers in the first Halloween.
so
It's called it's
Starman.
supposedly it's Starman. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a great movie. I actually really
But it's
like
not
that
a
one.
but it's not a horror.
No, that's actually his only, like, because that's actually got his only Academy Award nomination was for that one for, Jeff Bridges. Deadly Friend was really bad. Shocker was horrible. I love Shocker. I hate Scream. Swamp Thing was okay. Didn't like People Under the Stairs at all. Swamp Thing, that's yeah,
Yeah.
Starman. See?
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. I wasn't a fan of People Under Stairs. I found Last House on the Left. I watched it a few times. It's a disturbing movie, very realistic the way it's filmed. And I didn't really like The Hills Have Eyes. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of his movies I'm not a big fan of, but but Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream I rate very highly. Whereas, like, as much as I love the likes of Carpenter's movies that he done in the 80s, even Big Trouble in Little China, um, I still like those two Craven movies better. So then the question becomes, you say, who's the best horror director? Well, if he's made two horror movies that are better than anything that Carpenter done, then Wes Craven's the better horror director.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean,
That's the way I'm coming at it. But it's not me saying like Halloween's bad or The Fog's bad or The Thing's bad. One thing I like about Carpenter is that I like how different his movies are. I
you got
like every
Escape from
single
New
movie.
York.
Yes, how different they are throughout the 80s. But I also feel as if Carpenter's movies are very comic bookish. They're very kind of, Tales from the Crypt kind of feeling I get from them, and that's the thing about Carpenter for me. Whereas Craven's movies feel very real. That's the thing. Even the Nightmare on Elm Street, which is fantasy, it still feels very real.
You got to watch
Scream
Shocker
feels
then if you
yeah,
want to see.
well, Scream feels very real. Last House on the Left feels very real. And that's what's scary about it. Something like House on the Left could happen. It has probably happened.
Mm,
It's a
yeah.
very realistic take
That was like
on.
his 70s thing. It was like those movies like The Hills Have High have like that they're very 70s in tone and just in
Mhm.
general, like very realistic feeling.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I mean, I suppose it's down to personal taste, really, isn't it?
Yeah, well, of course, of course. And George wrote, "Haven't seen They Live in years. I'm here to chew
Yep.
bubblegum and kick some ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum." See, They
Yep.
Live is aged like a fine wine because I mean, I've been preaching what John Carpenter's been preaching for a long time as well. Is that like we're all fucking just obsessed with our things, and like and it's just a way for all of for the government and all these corporations to control us. And John Carpenter's talking about this in the 80s. So
Yeah. Well, I feel as if, George, you need to go back and rewatch They Live as soon as possible because I only seen that about 10 years ago or something like that. It was recently. They didn't grow up with it, but I absolutely loved it the first time I watched it. I knew nothing about it, didn't know the twist, didn't know anything. But I feel as if it's just as relevant now as it was back in the 80s when it came out, if not more so now. Um, yeah, it's a great message. It's one of my
yeah.
favorites.
It's even got a 10-minute fight scene between Keith David and Roddy Piper, which you can
Yeah.
argue Roddy Piper, not a great actor, which is true, but he works in that movie. And like the whole fight scene, like at least it pays off because of what the message is of the fight scene is like you're trying to open people's eyes to things who don't want to see it. Like they rather be ignorant. So he's just trying to get him to wear the sunglasses and he'll be fine, but he just refuses to put it on. That's like trying to explain to somebody like what the world is like, and they just like, I don't want to hear it. And it's just like, oh, but you're being fucking ignorant.
Yeah.
I gave my comments, but I don't like pitting people against each other. Just appreciate them all. But yeah, Carpenter's is way more better and diverse. No, share your comments. That's what we're here for. Carpenter did Christine as well, and I love Christine. I know that's I love the score to Christine, but the scene where
Mm.
he says "Show me," and then the car
Show me.
it just decides to go back together. That's just also a really cool effect. But
Earl Keith Gordon. I've got his autograph.
yeah, see, and,
Yeah.
and also we just talked about him like with Jaws 2 and
That's
uh,
why I
all,
have it.
all that jazz.
That's right. Yep. Yep.
So yeah, and he's only in one scene and all that jazz. I thought he was in more of it.
Oh, it's been years since I've seen it, John. I couldn't even remember.
Yeah, that's he's good though. He does look like he does actually kind of look like a younger version of Roy Scheider, so it works out very well. So, but yeah, I think that's everything we needed to discuss today about A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. But we do have some things we wanted to share with you guys. We were planning on doing this a little bit earlier in the year, but we're actually kicking this down until the fall, which is our top 10 Hitchcock film pool, which we're doing from these 20 films right here.
Yeah, that's right. I think I've watched about. Well, I've seen most of these, but on my rewatch, I've watched about 6 so far, John. So I'm a wee bit behind.
A
but I'll
little
get
bit.
there.
I'm
Wee bit
halfway
behind.
there.
Are you on 10?
I've done 10. I've
That's
done
good.
10 now. So,
Yeah.
I will do a Psycho rewatch and a Vertigo rewatch, even though I know like kind of where those will place, like in Rope and like stuff like I still want to do
Yeah.
a rewatch of all of them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I want to rewatch. I want to watch everything again, even though I've seen about 14 or 15 of them. So it's just I want to rewatch them again. So now I can kind of watch them a wee bit more closely. We're going to give them a ranking. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our top 10 from this 20 that we've picked. And then we're also putting down a score. And we're going to add our scores together. And we'll do a final list, 20 list of our scores added together to see where they're ranked.
Yep, exactly. So, and then we'll get to discuss them all in one like big live stream just like this.
Yeah.
So, and what's up, Jeff? John Doe Juggalo here. Make sure you guys go over to his YouTube channel, give him a subscribe, give him a like. Great guy. Appreciate you popping in. We're wrapping it up, buddy, but I'm still glad you're here. Never heard of 11 through 20. 11 through 20. Family Plot. Rebecca, the man who knew too much. Frenzy, Topaz, the 39 sets. Saboteur, the Trouble with Harry. Marnie and Torn Curtain. Yeah, those are like some of his lesser known ones. We did have Notorious on this list, but we swapped it out for Family Plot because eventually we will do more of them. But this is just we figured to make it easier on the rewatch for us.
Yeah, that's right.
And yeah, so expect this list sometime in the fall. And also, guys, like we said, we are doing a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 where we do a full breakdown of it here on the channel coming up in a couple weeks. And also this upcoming Friday for all the Bond fans out there, David and I on Access Cinema Appreciation will be just breaking down the entire James Bond franchise and what we love about it, right, Dave?
Yeah, that's right. So, say Axis, we're just gonna have a general chat about the James Bond franchise, going through each movie from beginning till the most recent, and yeah, it's a good show. I think it's a good show. So if you're in the Bond, check it out. It's just a follow up as well on our recent podcast that came out a few weeks ago of For Your Eyes Only, which we done at Access, or sorry, which we done on the Let's Talk Movie podcast.
Yep, exactly. So go check that out now. And actually, guys, if you want, we are slowly uploading our podcast to Spotify now. So if you want to just listen to the audio, they are just going to have audio versions. And just today on Monday, we just had Jurassic Park uploaded there. So right now you'll have Misery, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Jurassic Park. You could just listen to the audio version if you don't want to check out the YouTube video or anything like that. And you can just listen to us for about 3+ hours talking about each of those movies. And then next week will be, For Your Eyes Only. And then we'll put up also a Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. Then we'll start going through the older episodes as well. But this way, for you guys, if you just want to listen to it without like YouTube ads and you just want to listen to Spotify's version, all of that now will be up on the Spotify channel.
Yeah, as John says there, we're starting from season 4 of the Let's Talk Movie podcast, which is this year's. And then once we're up to date, we're going to go back and start doing season 3, John, isn't that right? Which started like last summer, season 3. So it's going to tie in pretty well. And you will have one episode dropping in every week. So if there's anything that you just want to revisit or anything that you just haven't listened to, if you enjoy that type of podcast, Spotify is a great platform to listen to because, as I say, I like walking the dog and maybe listening to podcasts when I'm walking the dog, or if I'm doing some housework or DIY or anything like that. It's really handy that way. So you don't have to have the visuals up, you know what I mean? Or as John says, or have any advertisements come up on YouTube.
Yep, exactly. It just makes it a little bit easier. And also Spotify, the audio quality is a little bit better. So,
Yes.
you guys will get to enjoy it that way. And, like I'm listening to podcasts. I usually just listen to them over a couple of days. So you can do that.
Yeah, my presence will sound a lot better.
Exactly, which is the key to this entire thing working. Tony says he's going to tell us his Freddy 2 stories when we cover that. So yeah, that's coming up at the very end of this month. But we'll be back live next month because we do a live show together every single month. And what are we going to be talking about next month, Dave?
Yeah, so our next live is going to be RO Video in 2026, quarter 2. So this is something we've decided we're going to do every 3 months because, excuse me, if anybody knows, I'm a fan and collector of physical media. John's an even bigger fan of collecting physical media. He's got his own channel where he reviews a lot of new releases. So I'm a big fan of RO Video. So we decided that we would do a quarterly live stream talking about any RO videos we've received and what what's upcoming, what's going to be released, and what we've got on pre-order. So yeah, I think it should be a good show because they've done some really nice announcements since our last show.
Yeah, and actually some that I want to actually discuss with you that wasn't necessarily on my radar, but I've done some research. So, we'll save that for next month. So, make sure
Good.
you guys come back next month so we'll talk some physical and Dave's impressions also. Well, yes, Dave's impressions are, like I said, they are the foundation of the Let's Talk Movies podcast.
Yeah. It's
So
the only reason John shows up. That's the only reason.
and I'm excited because next week we'll get to record Nightmare 2 and I'll get to hear all your Freddy impressions again. So
I know. I'm practicing them. I'm walking about the house just saying them,
I got to get my outfit together and dress like Jesse from that movie as he's fucking putting his room back together.
And the glasses and the baseball cap, and get yourself that yellow shirt with the wee gray crosses on it.
And the thing that the little toy's playing with that he pops out. Fucking
Well, John, see if I log on to do to record the show, and you're standing there and you're kind of like, but you're bumming some of your physical media collection onto your shelf.
Yeah, just hitting it in like he is.
I'll say, John, I'll come back later when you're finished, okay?
Just having a gay moment here.
We said, yeah, help yourself, fucker.
Oh man, but yeah, so we hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you're watching it live or watching it on the replay, I had fun. I hope you had fun too, David. And we'll be back next time. But make sure you're subscribed to the channel, like it, and like we said on Spotify, we also have the Facebook. So yeah, hopefully you guys have a great night.
Yeah, have a good night, and I really enjoyed this one. And yeah, it's good. We'll have to do another ranking again some stage. Maybe John Carpenter.
Yeah, we could do John Carpenter. We had a good discussion on it, so we'll put it on the list. So, all right, guys. Good night.